Welcome back. Today we'll be looking at the May-June 2023 CAPE Economics Unit 2 Paper 2. Let's get into it. Module 1, Models of the Macroeconomy. 1A, assume that the average family's annual disposable income is 8,000, of which 2,000 is savings. If the family's income rises to 10,000 and they plan to save 2,800, compute the family's marginal propensity to consume, MPC. MPC will be change in consumption divided by change in income. MPC will be equal to 1,200 divided by 2,000, which is equal to 0.6. So the family's marginal propensity to consume, MPC, is 0.6 or 60%. This means that for every additional dollar of income, the family will spend 6 cents and save the remaining 40 cents. Part 2. Show by calculation whether the family's average propensity to consume, APC, has risen or fallen with the increase in income. The average propensity to consume, APC, represents the portion of a family's total income that is consumed rather than saved. To calculate the APC, we use the following formula. APC is equal to consumption divided by income. Now let's compare the APC before and after the increase in income. APC1 is equal to C1 divided by Y1, which is 6,000 divided by 8,000, giving us 0.75 or 75%. APC2 will give us 7,000 divided by 10,000, which is equal to 0.72 or 72%. The initial APC was 75% and the new APC is 72%. The APC has fallen from 75% to 72% with the increase in income. So with the increase in income, the family's average propensity to consume, APC, has fallen. That is for 2 marks. B. Identify 3 transactions that are not included in the calculation of gross domestic product, GDP. 3 transactions excluded from GDP calculation are second-hand sales, black market operations, and purely financial transactions. Part 2, explain what is included and what is not included in government purchases in the GDP calculation. Government purchases in the GDP calculation include expenditures made by the government to acquire goods and services for public use. This category encompasses a wide range of items, such as military equipment, infrastructure projects like road construction, public education services, and salaries of government employees. GDP calculations do not include certain expenditures that government purchases include. These exclusions primarily involve transfer payments, payments made by the government to individuals or entities without receiving a corresponding good or service in return. Examples of items not included are social welfare payments, unemployment benefits, and subsidies to private individuals or businesses. Transfer payments, while significant for income redistribution and support, are not considered part of the GDP, as they do not represent the production of goods or services. They involve income transfers. C. All things being equal, discuss the effects of each of the following on the equilibrium level of GDP. Ensure that you include the impact on the aggregate curve, a sharp rise in the interest rates, a rapid increase in the rate of technological advancements, an increase in the amount of liquid assets consumers are holding. Firstly, a sharp rise in interest rates, typically controlled by a central bank's monetary fiscal policy, has several effects on the equilibrium level of GDP. Higher interest rates increase borrowing costs for consumers and businesses, making it more expensive to finance investments such as buying homes or expanding production capacity. As a result, consumer spending and business investment tend to decrease, causing a leftward shift in the aggregate demand ED curve and the decrease in the equilibrium level of GDP. Furthermore, higher interest rates can attract foreign capital seeking higher returns, leading to an appreciation of the domestic currency. This currency appreciation can adversely impact net exports and further contribute to a decrease in GDP. Secondly, a rapid increase in the rate of technological advancements tend to have a positive effect on the equilibrium level of GDP. Technological advances increase productivity and efficiency in production processes, boosting economic output as businesses produce more goods and services with fewer resources, thus increasing aggregate supply. This shift in AS to the right results in higher real GDP and lower prices. Consumers may also benefit from new and improved products, leading to increased spending and a rightward shift in the ED curve. Overall, this combination of factors leads to an increase in the equilibrium level of GDP. Finally, an increase in the amount of liquid assets consumers hold, such as cash or money in easily accessible bank accounts, can have mixed effects on the equilibrium level of GDP. Therefore, when consumers hold more liquid assets due to uncertainty about the future or expectations of economic instability, they may reduce their spending. Such reduction in consumer spending can in turn lead to decrease in aggregate demand and a lower equilibrium GDP. On the other hand, if consumers have more liquid assets due to increased income or confidence in the economy, they may maintain or increase their current spending levels, thereby positively impacting GDP. The impact on GDP depends on the underlying reasons for the increase in liquid assets and how it influences consumer behavior. Module 2, Macroeconomic Problems and Policies. 2A, differentiate between unemployment and underemployment. Unemployment occurs when an individual willing and able to work actively seek employment cannot find a job. In essence, it represents the absence of a job despite a person's desire to readiness to work. Yeah. Underemployment, on the other hand, refers to a situation where individuals have jobs but lack adequate hours, skill utilization, income, or job security. Unemployed individuals may have part-time jobs when they prefer full-time employment, or they may be working in jobs that do not require the level of education or skills, resulting in their education being underutilized. Part B. Explain how a change in the reserve ratio affects the money supply. The reserve ratio determined by the central bank dictates the portion of funds banks must hold as reserves. When the central bank lowers the reserve ratio, banks must maintain a smaller percentage of the deposits as reserves, increasing their lending capacity. Conversely, when the central bank increases the reserve ratio, banks must hold more of their funds as reserves. Raising the reserve ratio reduces the lending capacity, which in turn decreases the money multiplier and contracts the money supply by reducing the amount of money available for loans and spending. Part 2 discuss two strengths of monetary policy with respect to the achievement of economic stability. Monetary policy possesses several strengths in its pursuit of economic stability, one of which is the speed of implementation. Central banks can quickly adjust interest rates in response to economic changes, whether dealing with inflationary pressures or economic downturns, to influence borrowing and spending behavior. This rapid response capacity allows monetary policy to address emerging economic challenges swiftly, contributing to stability. Another strength is its non-discriminatory nature. Monetary policy affects all economic agents uniformly, regardless of individual characteristics such as income, industry, or geographic location. Unlike fiscal policy, which involves targeted government spending or tax measures, monetary policy operates broadly across the economy. This is non-discriminatory approach ensures that policy changes distribute benefits and costs more evenly, minimizing potential distortions of favoritism. It promotes fairness and equity in economic stability efforts, as monetary policy adjustments affect everyone equally. Let's see, discuss the views in favor of and against paying down the public debt with projected surpluses. One of the primary arguments in favor of paying down the public debts is the potential for interest savings. When the government reduces its debt burden, it also lowers the interest it must pay on that debt, freeing up funds for other purposes such as infrastructure, education, or healthcare investments. Additionally, paying down the public debt demonstrates fiscal responsibility and prudence, signaling to creditors and financial markets the government's commitment to maintaining a sustainable financial or fiscal position. This commitment can enhance investor confidence or lower borrowing costs and foster a more stable economic environment. However, critics argue that using surpluses to reduce the public debts represents an opportunity cost. Instead of allocating surplus funds to debt reduction, they could invest them in education, healthcare, infrastructure, and research and development. These investments have long-term economic benefits that outweigh the savings for debt reduction. Part 2 discuss one area of debt borrowing that could reduce the net economic burden, shifting it from public debt to future generations. One area of debt borrowing that could potentially reduce the net economic burden, shifting it from public debt to future generations, is invested in human capital and education. When a government borrows to invest in education and skill development programs, it can yield significant long-term economic benefits that offset the initial debt incurred. Additionally, a highly educated workforce is more innovative, adaptable, and capable of contributing to economic growth. As the economy expands, tax revenues tend to increase, helping to offset the costs of servicing the debts. Also, it reduces the reliance on social welfare programs such as unemployment benefits and food assistance, thereby saving government funds. Module 3 Growth, Sustainable Development, and Global Relations. 3A Differentiate between the current account and the capital account in balance of payments. The current account includes transactions related to goods and services traded between a country and a foreign entities, I should say. It comprises four main functions: trade balance, services, income, and current transfers. It reflects a nation's overall trade and financial relations with the rest of the world. In contrast, the capital account records transactions related to capital flows in and out of a country, including foreign direct investments, FDI, portfolio investments, and changes in reserves. It reflects a net change in a country's ownership of foreign assets and foreign ownership of domestic resources. Part B explains the following methods of trade protection. Tariffs. Tariffs are tax or duties imposed on imported goods and services. They represent the costs of foreign products, making them less competitive in a domestic market. Tariffs can take various forms such as specific tax, or tariffs, I should say, a fixed amount per unit, or ad valorem tariffs, a percentage of the product's value. Quotas can be categorized as either absolute involving a fixed quantity or a tariff rate. Quotas which specify quantity subject to a lower tariff rates. Higher rates apply beyond the quota. These quotas place quantitative restrictions on specific goods imports during a designated period. Non-tariff barriers, NTBs, are various measures that restrict trade without involving tariffs or quotas. These measures include technical regulations, licensing requirements, product standards, and administrative procedures. C. Discuss each of the foreign economic integration concepts. We have the free trade areas, trade creation, and trade diversion. Free trade areas, FTAs, represents a form of economic integration wherein member countries agree to eliminate tariffs and other trade barriers among themselves while maintaining their trade policies with non-member countries. Essentially, free trade areas promotes liberalized trade within a defined group of nations. The primary objective of FTAs is to increase economic efficiency and enhance welfare by facilitating the free flow of goods and services among member states. An example of an FTA is the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA. In addition, trade creation is an economic concept associated with the benefits of regional economic integration, such as customs unions, FTA. It occurs when these agreements lead to increased trade among member countries, replacing higher cost domestic production or imports from non-member countries. As a result, this enhances resource allocation, resulting in lower consumer prices and improved economic well-being. In a free trade agreement, FTA, if two countries manufacture similar goods but one is more efficient, the less efficient country may opt to import from the more efficient member instead of producing a low quality item domestically, importing it from a non-member country. This shift towards lower cost production can increase overall economic welfare within the integrated region. Finally, trade diversion is a concept that occurs within the context of regional economic integration. It refers to a situation where the formation of a customs union or FTA leads to a shift in trade patterns, but this shift is not necessarily economically efficient. Trade diversion happens when member countries start trading more with each other, even if non-member countries could provide the good at lower costs. This phenomenon occurs because differential trade terms, lower tariffs, within the integrated agreements make it more attractive to trade with member countries, even if those countries are not the most efficient producers. Trade diversion can lead to higher prices and reduce economic welfare for consumers within the integrated region. It is considered an unintended consequence of regional integration and a potential downside of trade diversion results in less efficient resource allocation. And that's it for today. See you all next time.